My name is Amelcie Yuen.
My name is Azniar Binti Umar.
My name is Audrey Adelaide.
My name is Azizah Fazirah Gumpulan.
So for our group today, we will be discussing on the news report entitled Impose High Pollution Tax on Firms. And in this issue, we will be specifically highlight on the gas pollution in Pasir Gudang, Johor as mentioned in the news report. So, to begin with our presentation today, let us first start with a brief summary of this issue. Why was this issue arise and why was this news written, right? So, nowadays, there have been many issues related to environmental management, like the illegal import of plastic waste, which is why it had been a worrisome case for Malaysia. And here's a not so fun fact. In Asia, the percentage of plastic in solid waste generated by Malaysia is second only to the Philippines. And this is certainly a wrong reason to be well known of. And while it still hurt the eyes of the people or the society as a whole to see that Malaysia is still currently facing with the plastic pollution from all other sources, as mentioned in the news report, Sungai Kim Kim in Johor was also declared unsafe because it was contaminated with chemical waste disposed of by factories. Thus, why this news was written. As protecting the environment is supposed to be everyone's responsibility. But then why would it have come to the point whereby only the government is attempting to prevent waste pollution or to protect the environment when the roots of the problem begin with the people itself? Even according to the economists, this pollution is an example of market failure to negative externality. In the case of Pasir Gudang, the social costs are the private costs incurred by firms that dispose of the toxic waste, and the costs incurred by society due to the pollution. The implication is that individuals will only consider their own costs, and the companies that dump chemicals into the Sungai Kim Kim are an illustration of a rational choice theory, as they only considered private costs and did not take into the account for the impact of external costs on society. Which is why the government thinks that internalizing the externality is one way to reduce the impact of a negative externality. As to reduce or eliminate negative environmental externalities, market-based instruments such as imposing taxes on polluters may need to be considered, and this will be further explained later.
As for me, I would like to discuss further about the issue of imposing a high pollution tax on firms. First of all, this issue is related to Chapter 2, which includes the economic basis of government activity, specifically in the externalities and the economy. Well, regarding the issue from the newspaper cutting that we chose, it highlighted two activities that cause serious pollution to the environment, which are the activity of illegal import of plastic waste and chemical waste disposed of by factories, which have caused gas pollution. All these are the activities that cause externalities that affect not only the firm or the organization, but also the third parties which involve the public. According to Rosen 2008, externalities can be defined as an activity of one entity that affects the welfare of another entity in a way that is outside the market mechanism. In other words, externalities are the outcomes of any activities that will affect other parties other than the one who conduct the activity. Therefore, externalities can be divided into two types, which are the positive and negative externalities. The first issue is regarding the illegal import of plastic waste activity. Earlier this year, Malaysia's Minister of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change discovered 450 metric tons of contaminated, low-quality plastic waste that was brought into the country illegally in shipping containers. The containers had originated from many countries like Australia, the US, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Japan, China, and Bangladesh, and those plastic wastes were en route to illegal recycling facilities in Malaysia to be processed in an environmentally unsafe manner. This has resulted in negative externalities as single-use plastics that aren't recycled or buried in landfills make their way into the ocean via littering and illegal dumping, where they eventually degrade into microparticles that damage aquatic life and enter the human food chain. Therefore, it will affect marine life and disrupt the human food supply. And I personally think that it was really bad, and that wouldn't be a good sign for our countries in many ways. But anyways, let's just discuss briefly about the next issue, because my friend will be discussing more on those matters after this. So, next is the issue of disposing of chemical waste by factories in Sungai Kim Kim, Johor. This is also an example of negative externalities results where the incident of toxic chemical pollution has affected more than 5,000 people, mainly children with respiratory symptoms such as breathing difficulties, nausea, and vomiting after breathing in the poisonous gases. It was reported that these children were having a manifestations of psychology due to anxiety about chemical exposure. And this has badly affected innocent people that have nothing to do with the activity that causes the pollution. Very sad, isn't it? Basically, all these activities that causes negative externalities started from irresponsible firms that only think about saving costs rather than considering the impact of the action. Therefore, rational choice theory can be applied to the situation where the firm of individual use their self-interest to make choices that will provide them with the greatest benefit. They will not consider the negative or positive effect as long as they fulfill their wants and get the benefit for themselves. Of course, that sounds selfish, but that's the reality and real fact. People are getting greedy and only care about money above anything.
Before I explain further regarding the issue, let's first watch this YouTube video that is related with our news regarding the Sungai Kim Kim in Johor.
Sorry, please bagi laluan.
As you can see, the firm's decision to dispose of chemical had a major impact on the residents of Sungai Kim Kim in Johor. And worse, it had harmed the health of many people, which the majority of them are students, which this then leads schools being forced to close in the middle March of 2019. And according to what we can infer from this issue or from this video, all these three people that was found guilty in these cases appeared to be professional workers, right? But the truth is they are not, as this action that they have done may appear petty for them, but it actually put the health of the individuals who reside nearby in harm. Furthermore, whether toxic waste winds up in the ground, in the streams, or even in the air, it can affect people, animals, and plants, since chemicals like mercury and lead can stay in the environment for a long time and build up over time. So when human or wildlife consume fish or other prey, they are exposed to these dangerous chemicals. As a result, it is critical for a person to understand how harmful it is to simply dispose of the chemical waste without the proper management or proper way. And clearly, this just shows us how important it is to impose a high pollution tax on firms so that they will always be aware on their action, which could potentially harm the society as well as the environment as a whole.
Now let's proceed to the next part. Talking about pollution, as mentioned in the article, it says that the economists classify pollution as an example of market failure due to negative externality. As we know, there are a few types of pollution, and the major kind of pollution usually classified by environment are the land pollution, air pollution, and water pollution. In this case, a gas pollution had occurred in Pasir Gudang, Johor, which it was classified as an air pollution to the public. Also previously, there's a pollution that occurs in Sungai Kim Kim in Johor, where the river had been contaminated with chemical waste disposed of by factories nearby, causing a water pollution to happen. What are the causes to this pollution to happen? Based on the article, take the case of Sungai Kim Kim, for example, where those factories only considered the private costs. However, they failed to consider the impact of external costs to the society. This environmental or industrial pollution is not a new issue, yet it remains the world's most serious problem and one of the primary causes of disease and fatalities. Man's actions such as urbanization, industrialization, mining, and excavation have contributed significantly to global environmental contamination. Both developed and developed countries bear this responsibility equally, although knowledge and greater legislation in developed countries have contributed more to environmental protection. Despite global attention, the impact of pollution is still felt due to its devastating long effects. There are 4 common causes of the pollution. The first one is unplanned industrial growth, where firms had violated the customs and regulation and continue to pollute the environment with both air and water. Next, the use of outdated technologies in the business. Most industries, they still rely on the old tech to produce products that generate a large amount of waste. Therefore, to avoid high cost and expenditure, those firms still make use of the old tech to keep on producing the high-end products. Third, caused by the lack of policies to control the pollution. Lack of effective policies and poor enforcement drive allows many industries to bypass laws, which resulted in mass-scale pollution that could affect the lives of many people. Finally, it is caused by inefficient waste disposal. Soil and water pollution are often caused directly due to the inefficient disposal of waste, whereas long-term exposure to polluted air and water may cause chronic health problems such as respiratory disorder. However, on the other hand, there is a benefit to pollution caused by those firms, whereas production implies pollution and production allows the firm to generate revenue. In an unregulated world, firms can maximize their profits by using the cheapest production method available, causing them to act irresponsibly by disposing the factory's waste to the open air and rivers nearby. Therefore, the pollution tax is imposed and has been suggested that it should be set high enough to encourage firms to reduce pollution and eliminate negative environmental externalities. Based on what happened in the article, strict action is required against those who pollute Sungai Kim Kim or Pasir Gudang. At the same time, severe penalties should be sanctioned on them, and they should compensate those affected by their actions. Other than that, the competent bodies should often supervise waste management by firms regularly and strict basis. Also, educating society on the necessity of a clean environment must be emphasized. It requires participation from all parties to ensure the sustainability of clean environment to everyone, as protecting the environment itself is everyone's responsibility.
As we know, poor waste management or taking the easy way out to dispose of waste can still be carried out by firms, and at the same time story is repeated over the years. From that, there are strategies on how to overcome the problem, which is to mitigate and conserve the environment that have been formulated in order to create awareness in society about the importance of protecting natural resources and environment. Such as, the government has launched 3R campaign, which is the reduce, reuse and recycle for the public, so that the public are aware of the importance of protecting the environment. For example, plastic waste is one of the world's most pressing human health and environmental concerns, where plastic constitutes the third highest waste sources globally, with the total amount of plastic that was growing in line with increased the global population and per capita consumption. And from that, we need to minimize our use of plastic by reuse the plastic. Other than that, the government has introduced hazard analysis and critical control point, which is the HACCP, and makanan selamat tanggung jawab industri mesti and others for the food industry and Malaysian good agricultural practice, which is my gap for agriculture to ensure that this industry practice sustainable management. So besides that, one of the ways to minimize the impact of negative externalities is by internalizing the externalities, which is market-based instrument, such as imposing a tax on the polluter might need to be considered in order to reduce or eliminate the negative environmental externalities. So this tax can create some incentive and flexibility for firms to reduce the pollution. The tax be imposed on the firm based on the quantity of the pollution they emit. So this tax will give an incentive for firm to figure out ways to reduce their emission, as long as the marginal cost of reducing the emission is less than the tax. So therefore, the pollution tax should be set high enough to encourage firms to reduce the pollution. Last but not least, by educating the society about the importance of the clean environment need to be enhanced, to as protecting environment is everyone's responsibility. However, for the polluter of Sungai Kim Kim or Pasir Gudang, strict action should be taken also, and at the same time, heavy penalties should be imposed on them, and compensation should be given by them to those affected by their action. So by monitoring of waste management by firms should be done regularly and strictly by responsible agencies.
In conclusion, since protecting the environment is everyone's responsibility, education about the significance of a clean environment should be enhanced and improved in the government. However, based on the news report, the polluter of Sungai Kim Kim or Pasir Gudang should face penalties for their action. In addition, they should also pay compensation to those harmed by their actions and be subject to harsh punishment. Since in general, we know that pollution causes the loss of biodiversity, global warming, and decline in the number of plants and animal species. Human health is also largely impacted by degradation of this environment. Hence, pollution control is extremely important for us. And it seems that one of the ways to protect our environment is by imposing high pollution tax on firms that is responsible to dispose the chemical waste in a proper way.